Hey guys, this is Squirrel here, and in this video, I will be ranking the 9 specials in Splatoon 2. So, in this video, I am by no means saying that any of these specials are bad, or that you shouldn't use any of them. These are all actually really good. So for each special, I'll basically just be describing just a little bit about it, and I'll be going over how easy it is to use, how easy it is to void, something like that, and that's really going to determine the ranking. So with that put in place, let's get right into this. Number 9. So here we have Ink Armor. This special is actually really good for game modes like Tower Control or Clam, Blitz, something like that, where you're trying to get into enemy base, because what this does is it activates this armor that goes around you and all your teammates and lasts for however long your special gauge is, which can be really good. However, there's going to be some things that makes it so it's not super overpowered, because otherwise, then that would just kind of ruin the mechanics of the game. This ranks last on my list because it takes a little too long to activate, in my opinion, and when you activate it, it makes you just kind of stop for a little bit amount of time, which that can be a killer. I know that's to prevent it from becoming a panic special, but there's a few other things that make it so it's not really as good as it sounds. As it doesn't last too long and doesn't protect from that much damage, I would not have this as my go-to special for weapons, and I'd really consider other choices. Number 8. Here at number 8 we have the Inkjet, which this special allows you to have a jetpack and an infinite amount of missiles for a short amount of time that you can use to fly around and try to take out your opponents. But just to note, this special used to be a lot better than it is currently. It would rank much higher on my list had this list just been made a few months ago. The downfalls of this is that it has a marker where you initiated your special. So the other team, they can just find your marker and just camp and kill you right when you land back down. It also now flies pretty low to the ground, and the exhaust that it gives out does half the amount of damage that it used to. And to add more, it's just really easy to be shot down, and it's hard to aim too, because you can really only get close-up targets. But this isn't to say this is a bad special, because it's really good in some scenarios, and you can really use it to do a lot of damage, but I just feel like there's a lot of specials that are better than this in more scenarios. Number 7. Here we have the tent missiles, which are some missiles that get strapped to your back that you can fire at your opponents by locking onto them. When firing into crowds, this can do a lot of damage and get a lot of kills and even assists. But the bad thing about this is that it's a little inaccurate, and since the opponent knows that they've been locked onto, and there's about 5 seconds or so, something like that, after when they're locked onto originally, that the tent missiles actually come back to the ground, it's pretty easy to avoid. And since this can be such a powerful special in game modes like Tower Control and Rainmaker, I'm not going to say this is a bad special, so just like the previous ones, I'm only putting it this low because I feel like the other ones are quite a bit better. Number 6. So here we have the last special that can reach all the way across the map, which is the Stingray. The Stingray is basically just a super high-powered ink laser that gets strapped to your back that you can aim and even shoot through walls to get to your opponents. And originally, it was just a thin little laser that didn't really do much, and since it's been buffed, now it even has an outer layer that also does damage. But even with the buff, it's still pretty hard to aim, and it's really only good for chip damage in Tower Control and Rainmaker, where you have a specific object to point at. While using it, you can't use your main weapon either, so it leaves you pretty vulnerable, and it's not really a good option for if you're not as skilled with using it. So since this is really only for pro players and not really able to be used well by just the average player, that's the reason why it's being rated so lowly, and the other ones, they can be used by anyone and can be used to help win by almost any other skill level. Number 5. here we have the Ink Storm, and also this is where we start getting into the more well-rounded and more accessible specials. So although the Ink Storm got nerfed pretty hard a few updates ago, it's still actually really good for chip damage in Splat zones and just turf in general. When you think about it, an ink cloud that paves the way and weakens your opponents can be nothing but helpful, and it's also really good for any game mode, and even turf war for just beginners. So overall, I'd say this is pretty well-rounded, as it doesn't really have anything that stands out that well, but it doesn't have any hard nerfs or anything like the other specials do. Number 4. So now we have Bomb Rush, which is the only returning special from Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2, and it really does just what the name suggests. It just gives you a rush of bombs for a short amount of time where you can just send a bunch of bombs out at your enemies. So this special really has no limitations except for the normal limitations of the bomb, such as aim and range, but that's to be expected. It's super easy with this special to just pin people as they have bombs all around them and they have nowhere to go, and if you need to, you can still use your main weapon. So this is just a really good special, and I don't understand why not as many people use it as it really deserves. Number 3. So heading into the top 3, we have Splashdown, which when you use this special, you jump up into the air and then come crashing down into the ground with a blast of ink that can kill your opponents, and it's all really quick, so they have no time to react. It can be a great way to save yourself, and although up at the pro levels, you don't really get the instant kills that you do at the lower levels, it's still really good as it gives you more time to see where they're going to be and gives you more time to adjust. As the only real panic special Splatoon 2, this is just really unique and great for players at all levels. Number 2. Although the Bubble Blower is actually super good and you can use it in all sorts of scenarios, it's only on 5 weapons, which is why you don't really see it that much. But once you initiate this special, you can then blow 3 super-sized bubbles that you can use to pop and kill your opponents, or you can even hide in them and protect yourself from any damage. These bubbles aren't stationary either, and they just kind of float around the map, which can help you get remote kills as your teammates all the way across the map, they can have a bubble fly over there and they can use them to kill one of the enemies. And since when the bubbles explode, they pop and ink quite a bit of area, this can be really good for splat zones or just turf war or really anything in general. Number 1. You guessed it, as the number 1 special on my list is indeed the Baller. When you use this special, you become next to invincible, and it is just really overpowered. Unlike the Splashdown, the other super high powered special, this one, you can even choose when it ends and when the Baller explodes, which has this huge blast radius that can kill all of your enemies in the area. And to top things off, when you're in the Baller, you can even climb up walls, which makes it so your enemies can't run away from you at all. Once you've locked onto them, they're pretty much done for. So for those reasons, I would put the Baller at the top of my list of all of the Splatoon 2 specials. I really hope that you guys enjoyed, as I put a lot of effort into this, and just please leave a like if you like this, and please subscribe if you have not already to help my channel out, as that would really be appreciated, and just have a wonderful day.